Okay, I'm going to hold you to that promise. You made that in front of a large audience here. But Sunil, you said that this is not the time for small factories. This is the time now for mega factories to be set up here in India. One of the constraints, specifically as far as, for instance, the telecom sector is concerned, is that there has been a lack of ecosystem, which we've seen play out for the benefit of the auto industry, as Santosh will point out. But on both these counts, on scale as well as building out of ecosystems, what do you believe are the next steps that are required to really capitalize on the opportunity?
Yeah, so Shireen, as I mentioned that, if you look at the first level of manufacturing in our industry has already started happening. Exports are increasing every year. I think that's a very positive sign. But I think now is the time for the industry and the government to look at beyond PLI and beyond subsidies. That how do we make this momentum sustainable? And three things come to my mind. The first thing that you talked about is scale. And I think the first thing that we need to be globally competitive is large scale in manufacturing. And that's why I'd mentioned that, the time has come for mega factories. There was a time that people used to think that, I'm going to set up a factory to address, let's say, 5% of the domestic market. I think that time is gone because we have to be, as I mentioned, now globally competitive. Second, we need a very strong and vibrant component ecosystem. The first question that I'm asked at any event or wherever I go and talk about electronic manufacturing, tell us what's the value addition that you have in a sector. And my answer is that, the same question was asked when the auto industry was just coming to the country. Yeah. When, let's say, Maruti was setting up their first plant, that where are the components? Right now, we are manufacturing the finished product. And today, I think the auto component industry is exporting globally. So I think this is what we need in our industry. We need a very strong and vibrant component ecosystem. And finally, we need to be designing our products. So besides make in India, it should be design in India. Only then this is going to be sustainable. But I'm confident that work is going on all the three fronts. You talked about, some of the issues in setting up these mega factories. I think land acquisition continues to be one issue that needs to be addressed. Second, on the component ecosystem, we need to encourage our small and medium enterprises to come in and invest in this sector. So if you look at China, our neighbor, I think the backbone of the component industry is the MSME industry there. So I think that's one thing we need to make it easier for these companies to come and invest in India in the component ecosystem. And lastly, I think we need to encourage more design-led manufacturing in the country. So I think this is what is going to make it sustainable over a period of time. But I'm confident it's going to happen.
But I didn't ask you how much value addition are you doing. But what I want to understand from you, because you gave the example and the analogy of the auto sector, how far are we from being able to get to that inflection point for instance, the telecom sector?
So, the value addition is different across different verticals. So if you look at one of the best verticals in terms of value addition would be the appliances. So today, in the industry as well as the company, so some of the things that we manufacture like washing machines and the air conditioners that are being manufactured in the country, the value addition is as high as 85%. There are only some compressors and motors that probably are not manufactured in the country, but that's also coming because of the PLI that came in for this sector, where the entire corpus was spent on creating a component ecosystem. But if you look at somewhere, the extreme side is the mobile phone industry, where hardly 15% value addition is there. But whenever someone talks to me about that, I'd like to remind them that in China, even today, all the microprocessors that go into a mobile phone, anywhere, come from Korea, South Korea, Japan, or Taiwan, right? China still doesn't manufacture any of these microprocessors. So I think it's a matter of time, and I'm sure it's going to happen.
Santosh, since we're talking about the road ahead, add to the list that we've heard here from Sunil and Sanjeev in terms of what next needs to be done to really ensure that we don't miss the bus this time around. How crucial will it also be for the government to fast-track FTAs, really for the growth of the manufacturing sector?
I think we are at an inflection point now, and if you see now let me talk about the automotive industry. It's 49% of the total manufacturing GDP is coming from automotive as a sector. But when you look at exports, automotive lags quite behind because one, the logistic costs are huge to send it to the bigger markets like Europe or to the US. And second is the point of, as you rightly mentioned, FTAs. Because without free trade agreements, we still run a risk of not being as competitive when it comes to automotive as a category, which also has high logistic costs and different entry barriers. So I think it's the time now. One is to harmonize legislation. So how far can our legislations when it comes to the automotive sector be harmonized with the US, with Europe, so we don't invest double for legislations in India compared to others. The second is of course FTA, which will help us for accelerated, I would say, exports out of India, but also for the domestic consumption. You know, we are at a point where the demographics are going to favor India now. We have the change in the mindset. As we rightly started this panel, there is a change in the mindset for consumption. If these two ingredients are there, now for us, and also when I now talk about automotive industry, the roads are in place because now consumers can enjoy their cars or any automobile that they purchase. So with these ingredients in place, I think taxation is one other element that definitely can change. Because when I now talk about Sunil, in his sector, the cost of an iPhone or any mobile phone is very equivalent what you buy in Europe and in India, whereas automotive cost is around 2 to 2.5 times. So as an industry, we feel if the parity comes up, more people purchase, the domestic industry grows exponentially now. We are ready for that hockey stick, which we have been waiting for the last 10 years. All the ingredients are in place. So a bit of tax, a bit of FTA, legislative changes, which harmonizes with other legislations. I think the recipe is all there. We just need to execute.